What is going on, guys? Welcome back to We Want Picks. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, here to bring you my quick pick video for UFC Vegas 87. All the favorites are gonna win on this card. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you are new. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, and I'm out. Peace. All right, but seriously, this is a very interesting card, to say the least. But before we get into the breakdown, make sure you go to WeWantPicks.com. Consider becoming a premium member today. It's a good way to support the channel, support me. I guess support Angelo as well. But I mean, come on, everyone, support me for my dreams to Brazil. Don't forget, guys. Every single $10 that you spend a month goes to my dream of sending me to Brazil. And once I get to Brazil, we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to bring all of you down with me. It is WeWantPicks.com, only $10 a month. Let's get right into this card, this nonsense of a card, if you will. UFC Vegas 87. Like the video, subscribe if you are new. Let's get into the action. So we got CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan versus Claudio Ribeiro. And no, this is not the Ribeiro that got knocked out 2 weeks ago. There was somebody in the Discord that was like, I can't believe this guy is fighting 2 weeks later after he just got knocked out. Not the same guy. Kind of fights the same, though. I'll be honest, this Ribeiro guy is a brawling style type of guy. He is just going to wait. He is going to wait. He is going to throw one punch at a time. But if he does land one of those one punches, he will blitz in. The issue is with Claudio is he will hurt you. He will blitz in. Then he shoot a takedown. Why the hell are we shooting takedowns, Claudio? He will hurt somebody against the fence. They will cover up, and then he will shoot a takedown for no reason at all. The IQ is hard to trust. The IQ on CLD, hard to trust as well. In my opinion, he's going to be the better fighter. CLD is going to be the better fighter, but he will also kind of wait. He will get a little bit wild, a little bit lackadaisical with the spinning stuff, the jumping knee stuff, the crazy stuff. And honestly, when I'm looking at this fight, I don't see CLD as like a minus whatever he is, minus 200, minus 250, minus 300, whatever those odds start ending up at. I see this as almost like a 50-50 fight. CLD's the better fighter here. Claudio did just get put out by Kopylov, pretty ice cold with that head kick. But I think Claudio's going to have an opportunity here. I see him coming in and being able to find that big shot he's looking for, because CLD will just kind of stand in front of you with his hands low. He's a very confident guy, very confident fighter. So I know I started this whole video breakdown by saying all the favorites win. I'm taking Claudio. I just think that he's got the power to get it done. CLD does get hit. He does do some wild, stupid shit. And I think that Claudio's going to find a shot. Am I real confident in it? No, I'm not real confident in it, but he is going to be my pick. I think there is some decent value there. Probably just like a first round KO type of play if you're going to play it. Nothing crazy, but that's going to be my pick. I'm taking Claudio over CLD. It is what it is. Let's move on. So we got Loik versus Al-Selwady. 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 We got Loik versus Al-Selwady. And honestly, this feels like, if you watched Loik's last fight versus Mateus Rebecki. We'll just say Rebecki. If you watch his last fight versus Rebecki, he was really struggling, probably with the speed of Rebecki, the forward pressure of Rebecki. Obviously, the leg kicks of Rebecki is ultimately what was the downfall of Loik. But it was almost like a guy that Rebecki went in there and almost didn't respect the power of Loik, got right in his face, throwing those leg kicks, throwing some shots, backing him up. And when Loik is backing up, he's a much different person than when he is moving forward, able to mix in the takedowns like you saw with Esteban. I know a lot of people didn't love that performance, but he is a different person from backing up to moving forward. And this dude, Al-Selwady, I think he kind of fights like Rebecki. I really feel like he fights like Rebecki, a volume striker with decent power, has good takedowns, good wrestling, but he's also got those same leg kicks, good inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks. So I understand these odds at this point. I honestly thought that Loik was going to open as the favorite. I watched the breakdowns. I break down the fights. Then I look at the odds. I thought Loik would be a slight favorite. Maybe you pick him. Now we got Al-Selwady moving like a minus 150. That makes sense to me, but I figured the general public would see Loik as a big guy on a bounce back. He was messing with leg kicks, but he still got good striking, good power. That's not how it played out. I agree. I think Al-Selwady should be the favorite. I like that minus 150 line as like what it should be. Not enough to actually kind of play it. You know, I think there could be some value there, but Loik is a tough guy. He does have power, and he could kind of neutralize the wrestling of Al-Selwady as well. But Al-Selwady is also tough. He's going to be the more active guy. He's going to have the volume. So if this does go to a decision, if this is one of those kind of back and forth fights, I think Al-Selwady is going to have the volume, maybe mixing a takedown or two. As long as he doesn't just end up flat on his back, which I don't think he's going to, I do like him in this fight. So this is going to be another favorite. I guess the second fight, it's only the first favorite I picked, but there's gonna be a lot of favorites on this card. I'm taking Al-Selwady to get it done. Let's move on. Javid Bashra versus Zahabi, aka Ariel Helwani, and this one should be pretty easy to break down. Listen, Javid, the Bashra brothers are the real deal. And I try to tell you guys that before the last Fareed fight. I know a lot of people like started getting weird about the Bonfim brothers and some other situations. Like, oh, are these guys actually real or not? The Bashra brothers are real. They're real because they're not first round finishers. They are just methodical fighters, very high IQ, good strikers, but also ultimately want to get to the ground and really do. But they don't force anything. Everything they do is just opportunistic. Now, I will say, in my opinion, Fareed is much more methodical than Javid. And we have Javid fighting here today versus Zahabi. So Javid will do a little bit more of the wild stuff, a little bit more of the spinning stuff, a little bit more of the, jumping, flying, whatever. But both of them are so methodical in the way that they just wait for opportunities to present themselves. So touch, touch, touch. Okay, you throw a little bit too aggressive, boom. Level change, get you down to the ground. And once they get to the ground, that's where they really excel. And Zahabi, I know he's got the power, but that's really all he has. And he just kind of waits and waits and waits to throw that power. So I see Javid coming in, touch, 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 touch. Finally, Zahabi unloads that big right hand or a big left hand or a big hook. Boom, level change. He's taken down, and we might be able to see it finish second or third round. So I'm going Javid. I understand the odds moving. I think Javid was like a minus 275, minus 300. He's like a minus 600, and I get it. A lot of people are chasing favorites on this card, and I fucking get it. Lock of the week this week is going to be a fucking pain. I'll tell you that. Let's move on to the next one. Javid is the pick. Eric Anders versus Jamie Pickett. I'm taking Eric Anders, right? He should have the power, should have the wrestling. Obviously, Jamie Pickett has come in his last few dozen fights. It really hasn't shown anything. But Eric Anders at like a minus, I think he's almost minus 400 at this point, something like that. If you're betting Eric Anders at minus 400, you're putting Eric Anders in a parlay at minus 400. God bless you. God bless you, and I wish you well. I get it. He should be the better fighter here, but Jamie Pickett is better than, how do I say it? He's better than his record says. He's better than his last few fights. He is a good fighter. It just feels like he doesn't have the confidence. He doesn't have the aggression. And sometimes you see these fighters all of a sudden flip a switch after they've had a bunch of losses. You saw that with Tyron Woodley. Right? And I'm not comparing Jamie Pickett with Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley used to be my dude. But he had a ton of losses where I was like, dude, you just got to do more. You just got to show that aggression. Then he came out against, Vicente Luque and just started just winging bombs. So we could see that from Jamie, but that's not enough to bet it. That's not enough to pick it. Eric Anders is the better fighter in this matchup. So I'm going Eric Anders, another favorite. But that minus 400 is a little bit pricey for me. Oh boy. Let's move on to the next one. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Bekzat Almakhan. Bekzat, I think it's Bekzat Almakhan. And I will say this, Umar is the real deal. Everyone knows he's a real deal. Minus 1,000 favorite, whatever it ends up being. I think it was minus 600. I think it was a minus 1,100. It's probably going to stay that way. It's going to be crazy. I will say this. This Bekzat guy is going to be able to hang on the feet. In my opinion, he's got sneaky power, and he's got power at 135 that's not looping power, right? Almost anybody can have power, especially on the regional scene, when they're just throwing the wild outside stuff or just loading into big overhand rights or big overhand lefts and stuff like that. He's got straight line power, which is kind of dangerous when you come into the UFC as a debut, because if Umar doesn't respect that power and it's straight line power, you can get hit with straight line power. If he had that looping power, Umar's not going to get hit with wild looping power. He's just too good. And when you throw the wild looping power, he'll just level change into a takedown. But if you have straight line power, you can definitely land shots like that. So I believe, in my mind, Umar is going to fight like Khabib in this fight. I think he's going to respect the striking of Bekzat. It's a really hard word to say. He's going to respect the striking of Bekzat, the power of Bekzat. And I believe that he's going to just wait, do his karate thing, level change. And in the wrestling, in the grappling, Bekzat is a good wrestler, a good grappler in his own right. I think Umar's just going to be way too physical for him, way too strong for him, way too physical, and that's how it's going to play out. So I think Umar's going to shoot a takedown early, get him to the ground, and kind of grind on this kid and get the win that way. It could be another one of those boring type Umar decision wins, because I believe that Bekzat is going to be a tough kid. I think it's almost, I don't want to say 50-50 on the feet, but I think Bekzat can definitely hang on the feet more than people give him credit for. I believe Umar's going to go to the wrestling, and Umar's going to be the pick. I mean, it's a pretty favorite heavy card. I keep saying it. Umar's going to be the pick. I get the minus 1,000, but we could have a moment here on the feet where Bekzat lands something and people are, but then Umar should be fine. So I'm going Umar here. Let's move on to the next one. Schnell versus Steve Erceg. And let me just say that Steve Erceg is somebody that I don't know if we all doubted, but I definitely doubted him a little bit with against David Dvorak. I'm like, he's good on the ground, but he kind of gets hit a lot. Steve Erceg is the real deal. I mean, he really is the real deal. And I know that Matt Schnell has been around, and Matt Schnell has shown toughness in fights, but outside of like a wild Hail Mary submission, I don't know where Steve Erceg loses. I talked about this in Discord with Lucky Tim in Discord, and I think the odds now are minus 300, minus 310. I think Steve should probably be a minus 400 because I know that he's tough. He can take a shot. He's got really, really technical, clean boxing. He's a very smart guy. He's not going to go in there swinging wild. He's not going to go in there getting in these wild scrambles. But if it does go to the ground, if there is something happening on the ground, Steve, that's kind of where he really excels, is on the ground in the grappling. So unless Matt Schnell falls into something weird like, I don't know, like a fucking heel hook, or is able to get the back somehow, or I just don't see him hurting Steve on the feet. And even if he hurts Steve on the feet, Steve has shown he's able to be tough and withstand any type of grappling as well. So long story short, another favorite, another pick. Fuck, the lock of the week this week is not going to be very fun, I'm telling you. I'm taking Steve Erceg here. I think he's the better striker, can handle his own in the grappling, probably is the more physical, stronger grappler, wrestler, whatever it is. So I'm going Steve here. I understand Matt is tough. This could be a decision fight, but I think Steve's the better fighter, so I got to take the better fighter. Give me Steve. Let's move on to the next one. Alex Perez versus Muhammad Mokaev. And this is one that the odds are starting to get a little bit more wide. I think Mokaev's minus 320, something like that now. I don't know what it is when I upload this. He might be something different, but he was like a minus 265, minus 250. That was surprising to me because Alex Perez, I just don't think, if you're a 125er, it feels like you need to be active. It feels like you have to be active in this game, constantly improving your skills and stay sharp, because these 125ers are some of the most talented people in the entire world. You have to be able to do everything, and you have to be sharp at everything. Mokaev, even blowing out his knee with that knee bar, he is staying active and in good form. And the thing we got to remember with Mokaev too is he's young. He's new with his career. He is going to keep getting better, and he is going to look better in every single fight that he has. Every single fight that he has coming up, every future fight, he's going to look better and better and better for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. He's such a young dude. He's going to be the better wrestler, the better grappler in this matchup. I get the respect for Alex Perez. He's been around. He's only lost to kind of the top guys, and he could have been a guy if he stayed active in this division. But the inactivity, the susceptibility to being out-wrestled, out-grappled, and that's what Mokaev does best. I mean, sometimes 1 + 1 = 2. Mokaev is the better wrestler, is the better grappler. Alex Perez, what is it, 5 submission losses? And I hate being one of those guys. Okay, oh, he's lost by 5 of his losses or submissions. And Makhachev, that's what he does. But I honestly think that's what happened here. I think Makhachev gets on him early, gets him down, gets his back, and then Alex Perez, we'll see if he can get out of those situations and stay tough. But I'm very high on Makhachev in this matchup. I think he's an absolute dog. I think in less than 60... what was it, less than 60 or less than 50 total minutes of octagon time? He has like 38 or 39 minutes of control, millions of takedowns. It is crazy how good this guy is. And the biggest thing we know, Makhachev isn't a pussy. We've seen that this guy can withstand being the nail. He's been the nail in a few fights. Tim Elliott, he was down 2 rounds to nothing on 2 judges' scorecards. Guess what? He finished the fight. He didn't puss out. He didn't start quitting. He's a guy that's going to be moving forward. He's nonstop. He's not a pussy, and I like him in this matchup. It could end up being a little like a decision or something, but I think Makhachev gets it done and gets it done inside the distance. So I'm going Makhachev here, another favorite. Let's move on to the next one. Vitor versus Tyson Pedro. And this one, I know a lot of people like Tyson Pedro. And a lot of people this week are like, oh, lock of the week, Tyson Pedro. Lock of the week, Tyson Pedro. And I agree that the Vitor Petrino odds are wide, right? Minus 300 for a guy that is kind of just like a statue in there and can kind of get lit up. Seems a little bit crazy to me. But Vitor, I don't know how it works, and I don't understand the science and mechanics behind it, but that motherfucker is huge. He's chiseled. He is beautiful, and that dude does not get tired. He just started wrestling because I think he just got bored of knocking people out. He was like, I just think I'm going to start wrestling, and people would have thought that this big dude, all those muscles, those beautiful shoulders and the chest and the abdominals and oh my God, the quads, to be able to oil this dude down and massage him is something that I would dream of doing at some point in my life. But you get these big guys, and sometimes when they're big knockout artist guys and they start wrestling and grappling, that's when they start gassing. Not Vitor. I don't know how it works, but this guy does not get tired. He can wrestle now. He can grapple now. He is a big dude with monster power. And Tyson Pedro, I know he's supposed to be this black belt in like every single mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu and karate and all this stuff. And he is probably going to look live in the first round, and he might touch Vitor. But until I see somebody touch Vitor and actually hurt Vitor, I got to go with Vitor, because if this gets out of the first round, I don't know how it's going to work, but Tyson's going to be the one that's going to fade. Vitor is not going to be the one that's going to fade. I know that Tyson will slow down and Vitor will not slow down. Until somebody hits Vitor in the mouth and he doesn't look at him and do this, because that's what he does. You could smoke him right in the mouth and he just goes like this. Like, that's all you got? I think that's what's going to happen. Tyson's going to pop, land a few shots, maybe get a little bit too aggressive, and Vitor's going to be right there with either that left hook or just a nice right hand down the middle. So I'm going Vitor, another favorite. I do think the odds are a little bit wide in this matchup, but, you know, until I see somebody actually give Vitor some issues, some trouble, I got to go with the big Brazilian here. So I'm going Vitor in this matchup. Let's move on to the main event. Main event time, we got Bigi Boy versus Shamil, and these odds are, I think, probably closer than I would have expected. I would have expected Shamil maybe open at like a minus 150 and then get pushed to a minus 200. I mean, you have a 12-0 guy that's knocking out everyone, can wrestle as well, against Bigi Boy, who has seemed to struggle versus, I guess, power punchers, right? Francis, and then he gets knocked out by Volkov, and you know, all these situations, but when I'm looking at this matchup, I understand the love for Shamil, but if I'm looking at this as a technical fight, and if it is a technical fight and it's a kickboxing match, Bigi Boy's the better striker. He is just the better, cleaner, more technical striker in this matchup. The issue is Shamil, he doesn't matter. He just moves forward. Boom, boom, 1-2. Boom, boom, 1-2. Boom, boom, 1-2. Just a really strong 1-2. And it's not technical, right? He's not throwing it here. Boom, boom, with his hands coming to his fist. He throws this shit from his hips. Boom, boom, 1-2. And once he gets you against the fence, it's no longer 1-2. It is 1-2, 1-2, 3, 1-2, 5. I mean, it is laying that shit on you. So I will say this. I do believe that Bigi Boy is the better striker. I believe Bigi Boy does possess the power to hurt this concrete head Shamil, right? Nobody's really shown that they can hurt him enough to get the pressure off. But Bigi Boy cannot be against the fence. He can't try to brawl out of these situations. Bigi Boy needs to come in and be the kickboxer that he is. Footwork, circle out, get out of there, extend this fight, because you guys saw Shamil versus Martin Buday about the last minute of the first round. It was like, oh, Shamil's tired. Oh, the Shamil is tired. And if Martin Buday didn't have a busted eye and kind of, I don't want to say quit on himself, but you could tell mentally he was done after the first round. If he came out in the second round and put some decent pressure on Shamil, I think Shamil was going to break and lose that fight. So if you're Bigi Boy, you're the better striker. You're the more technical striker. Treat this as a kickboxing match. Point him, just point fight this dude. Get the fuck out of there. Run away if you have to for 5 minutes. Let's get to the second round, and now let's start putting the pressure on Shamil, because I believe that Bigi Boy, if he survives the first 3 or 4 minutes of this fight, can get to the second round. He is the better striker, the more experienced striker as far as kickboxing goes, and he can win this fight. So, it's a tough ask, right? I've picked every favorite on this card except for the very first fight, and that one was wishy-washy. I am going with the dog here, and my dude Bigi Boy, point fight him for 4 or 5 minutes, get to the second round, then start laying some more power. We'll see if he can get that done, but I believe he is the better striker, and I saw Shamil start fading in that Martin Buday fight, so I am going Bigi Boy here. This has been the full card breakdown for UFC Vegas 87. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video if you don't mind. Subscribe if you are new. My name is Jake, aka the Freckles Salamander, and I'm out. Peace.